Akwaba. I think Akwaba. Bibia na mekwaso.
Nyamiadum, mehu ya na munso.
Onyamiadum bibia eboko. Eno am je breaking kan eye Masda for presser no.
Yeah, near on Monday. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hopeful say obetimi am ya share nkomo na se.
Oh yes.
How potia e wo ho ntia mo de sa nkomo abeto abonten.
Me da say Nedi kan ma minchia etifo nyina ene ahwefo nyina ene ewie. Na Nientia yes our press conference is largely because of Nientia ebimuso kasafa sa lithium mining lease ho ana mineral right here yediama Barari DV Ghana Limited. But the answer na bekom no kra onim say Barari DV Ghana Limited is 100% owned by company behind Iron Ridge. It's a company that is. Let me give you the full name. It's an interesting. Who shared the arrangement of ownership? Nokra, you know, people make it look as if say, Barari is a direct subsidiary of, Atlantic Lithium. But there are a series of companies. This one is owned by We, and eventually Lithium own it. So Usha. Barari DV Ghana Limited is 90% owned by Iron Ridge Resources Singapore Pte Limited. Olim say Omabe registered 2 subsidiaries for Ghana, Green Metals Resources and a Barari DV Ghana Limited. No, and one company in Crawford operates. They have 2 companies, and make it another document that is a prospecting approval of recommendation letter that the minister has written approving prospecting application sa Green Metals Resources here nti nsem de also but Usha Barari is 90% owned by Iron Ridge Resources Singapore Limited, PT Limited, and sa Green Metals is 100% also 100% owned by Iron Ridge Resources Singapore Pte Limited. Nenti amika we ni say if you can say Iron Ridge Resources owns 90% of Barari DV Ghana Limited. Who owns the other 10%? Even though an Iron Ridge is also owned by Atlantic Lithium. And I didn't know there is a need for even much more transparency. So the Ghana for there's BBI different beneficial ownership. When Muna ETH, who are the owners? Into Barari DV Ghana Limited, who are the owners? What is here? Because if it is 90% owned by Iron Ridge, 10% are canon. Why muna own? Who read the documents in the BI? If you read their feasibility study report now, they indicate say that subsidiary is owned. You can say like it's 100% owned. And if they are saying it's 100% owned, which means that they are not saying that Ghana for can home. And the prior processes now Crawford are not more concession before the coming into being of Barari and Asifo no. Just almost they and Shadang they are not shareholders in our company no. But that is another conversation. Let me say if Iron Ridge that is owned by Atlantic Lithium claims to be owning 90% of Barari DV Ghana Limited, 10% no, who are the ones who own it? That's a big question. I say in United here, and unless the ministry comes out to say, "Oh, we are fully aware," say, Barari DV Ghana Limited, which is supposed to be a subsidiary, 90% Iron Ridge for there, 10% assume for there. We don't know.
But the 10% is what the Minerals Commission Chief
said.
No, Mensa.
No. We are talking about a company that. Are you saying say Nunu Mensa owns the 10%? Is that what you're saying? No. That he owns 10% shares in Barari DV Ghana Limited. What is it? The conversation has to be clear. Is it that he owns 10% in the company and in that concession, no, he owns 10% stake? Because company, no, there could be a concession, more than one company, nabe owning. And if Barari DV is saying, say, it's a wholly, you can say, owned company, but who share the trajectory of ownership, no? You can't share the other 10%, no, 90% no kwana yenim that belongs to Iron Ridge. But that is just beside the point. The main issues are yepese and I raise you once I'm say looking at lithium, it is a new oil. Everybody knows that. Say bedroom maybe and family sabi and shadam fam and for so be and brain. Now the able to me aboy lithium because of the clamor for green transition. Now say ye beyen sana and I bedru sa pempensona. Na nyakopon so adom ye na ye nya lithium a nhihye ben na ye di beto akwan mu so that we will reap the full benefits from this particular green mineral, and so that we don't repeat the mistakes of gold and diamond. That is for us the main concern. SSA ye di ho komo na ye pre ho ko mining lease. I think say we need to hasten slowly, but on the mining lease ankasano there are some specific issues within the lease ankasano. Mbua Ghana going forward, and we raised a number of them in a press statement. Nedi kind, any when it comes to the issue of royalty rate, and I've heard all kinds of justifications. Say, oh, this is the best mining lease and agreement. It's a joke. It's a big joke, and I say to your book cry. Nienti Amizi is a big joke. What are you comparing this agreement with? Ombekacho say gold. Agreements, Now you can't compare gold to lithium and emery. The value of lithium is way bigger than that of gold. And what do you mean? Because when you have an agreement on lithium, your standard any gold mining lease, there be that. Nenti Amikas Akran is in 2010. Before 2010, we had a range when it came to royalty. Yeah, it was between 3 and 6%. But when the mining companies conveniently settled on the 3%, the lower threshold. No, so between your royalty, it should be not less than 3% and not more than 6% of your total revenue, or of your revenue receipts from the sale of gold. Mining companies conveniently settled on a lower threshold, which was 3. And in 2010, by the introduction of Act 794. We amended it to say it should be flat 5%. But who said, look, this amendment, and in 2015, we introduced Act 900, which was an amendment. In fact, it was an amendment that sought to repeal the 2010 amendment. Until said, minister should have the power to prescribe the royalty rate. Now, since the amendment of Sa Mrano, there is no mining lease in this country. Rate echo more than 5%. Even though you amend the law to give the minister the chance to increase it, conveniently it stayed at 5%. Until now the two gold arrangements now, you get it wrong because we have done a poor job with gold and other minerals. That is why we can't afford to have a mistake, and we can't afford to repeat the mistakes with gold and diamond when it comes to lithium. And to say we've increased the royalty rate to 10%. Until I think to say the least is simplistic and is mediocre in my view. But for us, the main focus is not even about the rate, the specific rate. It is about the fact that this rate Yako negotiating in this agreement is not protected by any law at all. Until that you can have another lease agreement whose royalty rate is not 10%. Because maybe you are air butters at 10% each. All the Minerals and Mining Act 2006 Act 703 as amended, the minister can prescribe a rate. But in that amendment, they anticipated this discretionary arbitrary setting of royalty rate. And the further went in section 110 to say the minister has the power to make regulations through an ally. Obe prescribe and obe stated the exact royalty rate yebe charge and the manner in which that will be done. Now, before you have a mining lease such as this, you want to make sure that the royalty rate now Udibano is protected by law. So, what prevented minister from preceding this agreement with an ally? HRS royalty rate now yebe 10%. So that Ochine be another investor bar on himself royalty rate on lithium at 10%. What is here? And you are in a haste to go and sign a lease agreement, knowing very well that this is our future. Oil and oil will be useless to us. The transition from fossil fuels, when the green transition is fully enforced, oil will become useless to us. Now, oil impona yewe imagine if we are not getting oil and we don't negotiate dealer, me I replace oil in a year, what do you think is going to happen? And the argument is the minister had two options. First, to introduce the LI when it comes to the royalty rate, to make sure that percentage is clearly stated in the LI. And the second issue we have is what was the basis for the minister coming to this conclusion? Say 10% the MIA. Matthew all kinds of ridiculous justifications. Say, the investment in this area is huge. As if for basic business education will tell you, the higher the risk and investment is, the higher the returns. And it's here.
Correct. And
he said, who can risk? What are you saying? Business being any risky? No, which business is not risky? Everything to do with extractives is risky. But that doesn't stop countries from making the best and the most out of their mineral resources. And you say, they invested, how much money did they invest? And we need to ask ourselves, look, if you read the feasibility study, the amount of, the period within which they anticipate and they forecast to recoup Sasike is less than 1 year. What is here? And if we are saying that we are giving them 15 years lease, what is here? And they stand to, say 1 year, but let's even grant them 1 year. Say they can recoup their investment in exploration in 1 year. And I say amount 40 years here, you see, you can't exploration, mineral exploration, it comes in different forms and in stages. Prospecting, prospecting, and that is why the issue of enjoy transporters comes in. And on this occasion, my main clear as a joy transporters the person is allegedly a nephew to Asidun Ketia. No. That's even in fact, and it's because it's an allegation. Say no offers, and Asidun Ketia is not a shareholder, is not involved. What is here? And that needs to be cleared. Chichi or Bibe count to muddy the conversation and yadia as we need to clear it. Who call honum now? And I am lucky to have seen the map of Sa particular enclave, where there are several lithium concessions given out. And I can tell you almost all the names are almost look, I know the entity whose concession shares the boundary with Barari Mudie and in the Etwasu and Buntumi Mudie. Nina I know. And Sa Joy for they sold their interests completely out. Omunya prospecting lines and who said there is lithium. When Barari came, they decided to sell outright interest. But interest Barari for never prospecting. What they did was exploration drilling to find out the commercial quantities. And one and a second of 40 years Barari Omuba Ghana no. Omo and Chingana looking for lithium, and finally they found it in a way. Look, who called the electrical survey department? Data no go. So
that impression
it should be as a bogu cry, as a joke. Say look, they came to me. I don't know concession free joy transporters and nunu said the nukra and yes also or the money na or the nina mo. It was kakra and Sebi, that's a problem in this country. Ebimo Ekoji prospecting license now. They know very well said they have no intention to pursue it further. The foreign investor biaba and our foreign interest be now abeji. Then the panel would just sell out now wajina kakrebia koni baby. And it's something we need to look at also. Until now, if you say minum beye juma, but me di say ne mamu as shares no magic kakra and the titi swana akodru pempensu asisia endorse we. But the point I'm seeking to make is say Omubaye no already nankrofo who say lithium waha. All they did was to do exploration drilling. What must say? And the exploration drilling enu ne sika pudu omo say omudia ko sheme na de won't be crazy or yebi. And he's not even saying the bank na man sika was he an individual. So if to me and an individual can do it, what makes you think say investment on where in strong kwama? I'm not discounting the fact that investment in minerals is huge, but to create the impression that because of the kind of investment look, there was a place, all they did was to do the exploration drilling. But having said that, so you cannot stand on that to say because of my exploration drilling which money they stand to recoup in less than 1 year. That investment no if almost start exploitation now no almost start ton from omanga's feasibility report no it says that they can make back that money in less than 1 year until 14 years now can so if they can make back their money in 1 year yema omukra 1 year even though about 10 months if they can make it back in 1 year you are telling us for the next 14 years no we should keep arguing say because they invested this much which they can recoup in 1 year no omunkosu ndidi sa na Ghana enya kakra and you claim that this is the best deal.
So what is the wrong Minerals Commission and the Lands Ministry no?
First, they did not do enough engagements near the kind, and secondly, even if they decided say 10% royalty is what we deserve, which I disagree anyways, but if they claim grass 10% royalty they deserve, yeah, it's not protected by any law. That should be another applicant bar. You may not succeed in getting 10%. What was here? Yes, you know, you may not get the 10%. So what stops us from making sure that this is that rate, you know, is watertight, protected in the law? And the Act gives you, Section 110 gives you that power to make regulations through an ally. And the question I may be to what end? And I have an idea why I'm for Epipre or Mono. And then I have an idea. No, I hold in my hand 2 letters. This one is called approval of recommendation letter.
Approval of
recommendation. Also, when you apply to the Minerals Commission for any mineral right, and in this case, a mining lease. What they do is making sure that you fulfill all the requirements. They write to the minister, making recommendations to the minister, say you deserve or you do not deserve to be given lease. No, the minister Ojitumwa writes back what they call approval of recommendation letter. Look at the dates. Which are dates? No,
17th October 2023, 20th October 2023.
Very good, and it's supposed to be the same letter. And let me explain what the process is. Until who apply now recommendation no minister no try. It goes back to the commission. The commission sends it to the applicant, and the Act requires you to write a friend acceptance letter. And you have even a specified time within which I saw sa letter no. Now you send it back to the commission. Then they invite you to come and pay the relevant fees. Every block has an amount I calculate amount. Now wait here. We are now cost 2 lands akutuya. We share 20th letter here. This was the day the minister gave the approval letter. Now, so we share mining lease agreement. I have a copy in my hand. Share data also on my hand. Date when also. 20th October.
20th October 2023.
Until then, a woman approval of recommendation letter. Which is supposed to go back to the commission, to the applicant, for him to write acceptance letter, go and pay for the come back for them. You cannot do it. And they were even thinking of the implications. Our suspicion is that they went back to backdate one of the letters, and 17th October. And the question is, what is going on? Because you write a letter, dated 20th, sign the agreement the same day, and you have another letter that indicates the approval letter was given.
The 20th October was approval of recommendation.
The same thing, approval of recommendation, no. So how can you give approval of recommendation? The person writes the na time ben kra na commission no my friend nipa no amana abeji atro asa akotua fees ni nyina na the end of the day na minister no san otiminya ho adaje sign lease the same day.
No, Bebo.
Yes.
I feel me imagine but
yes, that's all I remember. So yes.
Same content.
There's not even the crown I free man I be account.
2 different dates.
Yes. And signature of the minister is on both.
Stamp,
what I say?
Stamp.
The signature and stamp in also. So our suspicion is there. Yes, I will now print here. Our suspicion ground is that the lease agreement was signed even before the recommendation approval was even given.
So which one is the original one here?
They are both original.
How?
Yes, they will show any ministry in letterhead also. Stamps in
but ministry Baku the same letter.
Minister Baku and your ministry. Minister Baku natural 2 letters, no. And our suspicion is there. Who shared data this lease agreement was signed? It bears the same date as one of the letters. And our suspicion is there. where your 20th, where's your 20th? And my back date back where?
But who say?
There's no difference. They are the corner. So my question, I mean, besides that, sir, this haste, who stands to profit from this haste? Because it doesn't profit anybody. You are even making mistakes, creating impressions of impropriety. Any can be. Because if you have this, the conclusion of Bia would come to me say something went amiss, something was wrong. And you prove who mistakes in to what end? Nedika no. Oh, abopusa. Because Adia Nanka said 2 years ago.
And official documents.
They are official documents. They are indeed. And I say,
no, hold on. Me pese ye 2 years boss.
Yes.
Na me because me got 2 different.
No, they are the same. There's not me see A and add the cry in free. Look at what was that when you approval of recommendation, it tells you name of applicant, date, type of application, type of mineral rights, size of mineral rights, applicable minerals, duration of mineral rights, and so on and so forth. And the last is location. Nina at the corner. That me see the cry in free swear. The only thing that changes is the date. What you say? The date on one is the same date as the date I signing mining lease, and our agreement, And the other one.
So the stamp number is 3715, stamp number 3790.
Yes.
Reference number DB47 stroke 124 101. The same thing is here. 20th October 2023, 17th October 2023.
Yes.
The Chief Executive Officer Minerals Commission, the Chief Executive Officer Minerals Commission. How is that possible?
So what it means is Minister no or G recommendation now from the ministry from the lands from the Minerals Commission. He's supposed to write an approval of the recommendation. Whether a recommendation of Minerals Commission, they make recommendation in respect of mineral right. So whether reconnaissance, whether prospecting, whether would the minister is not a technical person, so they recommend to the minister. Or if we are not satisfied, then he writes the approval of recommendation back to the Minerals Commission. That's why you see that it is addressed to.
So it couldn't have been possible. Say a bit more.
Go back to Minerals Commission. Minerals Commission may free applicant. Say Beji minister approve it, but go and bring your acceptance letter. Or also the acceptance letter and sign a man the fees to pay. Now I call students so I could cheer students there no so. And sign a Minerals Commission prepare lease agreement, and take it to the minister for him to sign. All this couldn't be done in one day.
True. Dominic, now here's a winner, Mr. Isiamaya.
Yes,
it's important.
Minerals Commission is very, very important.
It's important.
It's very, very important.
Well, because when Mr. Isiamaya,
so apart from the fact that royalty rates agreement,
or the minister rather, because we are minister now.
Minister signing, but it was addressed to the Minerals Commission.
Chief Executive.
And say how many of them did he receive?
I want to know they say as we are talking there, Juman Kaza.
And that is what makes it.
But 20th near dangerous.
May I have argument and say it was signed on the 20th, the same day as the mining lease. But almost
but is that possible?
It is not. Beside any miner, it's not possible. And I mean, can show how the process works. When the recommendation letter goes back to the Minerals Commission, they invite you, the applicant, to bring your acceptance letter. Now, if you blocks to do a war, how much you are supposed to pay by way of fees. We are now to two lands there. No, we are now the receipts in the bar. No, then they prepare a lease agreement, and then take it to the minister. And when you not just any dark a signee. Of course, that's the implication. And question I mean, say yes, of course.
I will be pretty big crime. I dream for be bed.
Absolutely. Until I'm why is it that we are treating lithium like any other mineral? And it is because people are looking at lithium as just another mineral.
Gold, from the diamond.
And almost say this is the best agreement by far.
It can't be.
But if you are looking at it from the perspective of green elements, and the future, the new oil, this is the best agreement. Uko Chile. Chile's royalty rate regime is a marginal progressive royalty regime, which means that each time the price of lithium goes up on the world lithium market, the royalty rate also goes up. What I said, so you can't say this is by far the best. And Yankoti, I see Zimbabwe. Oh, come on, Ghana. Come on. And teacher said, now Zimbabwe is a standard. Who shared or more extractives? Look, our story is even better. You see, gold, but our story is even better than that of Zimbabwe, Sebi. So how could Zimbabwe be a standard for us? What I say? The other issue has to do with free carried interest.
The carried interest, mebaso.
Yeah.
But true, Mr. They cannot just go. Mama,
no, I mean it's critical.
No, Mama, who say,
yeah,
if it is true that then we can know Zambia. But
these are official documents. Who say if it is true? It is true. These are official documents. What I say? These are official documents. And the only thing Oben said to explain, maybe, and which explanation had Bema? And that's what I'm interested and keen to hear.
But that's why we have to understand.
That is it.
Say from the same ministry to one commission.
Yes. No, minister to who can ministry now? As the minister to the CEO of Minerals Commission.
Two
separate dates, two letters.
Separate dates. Same dates. Content.
Yes. Referring to the same entity. Barari DV Ghana Limited. What is here?
A creative room for suspicion.
It's suspicious. It's suspicious. What is it? It's suspicious.
Suspicion as in what?
Okay. Now, Pacho.
Obenya time we are all the time maybe you have all the time to talk. Nadaroma. The other issue so you can note if you have any issues. Okay.
But me name the entire so as in what? A worrying. If that is
if he has an explanation.
So are you speaking for the minister?
He's even aware of the existence of these letters. That's the first question.
I don't know. So Bisasa.
Do you know that
my procedure to introduce?
My yeah, but you Anna make sure say what person didn't remove for mine.
Anna make sure say
a normal administrative error.
Exactly.
No, yeah. No, what is wrong with that? Or say normal
motives be no. Let me tell you. The content. I'm coming.
So which one is the right one?
So which one are we using? The 17th or
no? I want to ask. Based on the content.
Look at Lucha some more. You can't suspicion or
criminality. Suspicion.
No, that is why how you operate.
You should have it. You should have it. If you are speaking to this issue, you should have it.
Are you saying that there's absolutely nothing wrong with same content, two different dates?
There's a procedure.
It's a administrative error.
Please, me yasema working. Also, as a be fishy deal biako. So that I want to ask that the main contract is here.
What
terms of agreement is here? The clauses are here.
But we're raising issue about the main
about
contract.
What is in the agreement? Osusu say sebi.
What are maybe I won't teach you.
Why listening to us?
No, because say me mabeto say on TCSL same content but different dates. Canadian. Obi tia obekasa say bi minister na koye bibi hu anaba ya koye bibi hu ano na
kasa ba sa
no bisani say
to wase e bia na baby ono so free ba no wanya brenti bra wo
kasa na wenti a wo beka bi
o so wabeto nkrata
ala ye kan wasem
to enye kasa pi wabeto nkrata mi no e ka asem korona na a free minister we eko a chief executive na date ni e different or say a administrative error
sa no wo kan.
Of course.
That's what you're saying.
A normal administrative error.
Okay.
So which one is there?
You see, when you say administrative
error, does it border on criminality? Still be woman a fishy dealer now.
Why
do you paint or create an errors impression as if say Bibi Bonnie be akoso? Bibi Bonnie be ankoso. I think.
Maybe.
That's
it. This cannot be an administrative error. What is an administrative error? Say you write two letters, sign two letters, give them two different days, and you tell me it's an administrative error. How does that happen?
Honorable Collins.
The same content.
Honorable Collins.
You see, on TH,
What's your character 17th or your character 17th October? Character no, and somehow your breme no. Send the comnas and me home and family. Into an idea, meeting in Unshia, or the Breme 17th October. Bibiansi ampa minim so home foul. Krata krona no asa atworo bi ma ba 20th October. Oma hene kobnas me musa o me kan je me hon fa me. Enti no wasa de krata na ba. Na da o de krata we buy no. The ko contract nso a wasan a that day na o de assign say contract na. Bibianso di adanse o mo so mo nhihye mu say ansampo na be back and forth to be we no. Untwa mu kura no. Ebiana na otwa na otwi mi no. Especially knowing how bureaucratic the system is, especially on matters of this sort. Due diligence in the just 2-3 days we are off this deal. Such a deal of
the future, friend, deal of the future.
No, my pacho.
Na sanya we go accept say a normal thing.
Pacho, you and I know. Say about administrative letters like this, correspondences no and the picture because me sure letter the Minerals Commission. Now me
they are not supposed to write back to the minister. You see one thing this is not like your regular correspondence between a minister and an agency head.
Mature crata dia bro.
Okay, but make crata now.
No, who can kind of say? No, who can kind of say?
Money can here for what
the say? Mami come some Libya. I'll leave the copy
now you run away from your own letter what and done here. Money can come over. Bonnie be and can kind.
Letter. What letter?
And you don't cannot here for no more.
A tear for Nihauna, letter.
Impression be said be Bonnie be and
letter.
And I may say, that's not. Oh,
when I would not even know the content. We see there's nothing.
Until the money can kind of
no one can how would you tell one can want to
we're creating pressure.
And why went now now Casa?
It's only fair, sir.
Yes, money winning common. Once a mad meeting has in making.
But I'm not sure the minister is even impressed. Trust me, I'm not even sure.
No,
because he knows that this was a major. Aren't you speaking for the minister?
No, I'm asking you.
Me, why should I speak for the minister?
So why do you
speak for government?
And so keep quiet.
But you speak.
And I'm saying, say,
you don't even understand
that's not about on criminality.
Okay,
but I'm talking about criminality. He just came to shout. You are not even speaking to the issues. Who said I'm raising issues of criminality?
Sakrata, we are Minister Chokoma Commission.
If it were about criminality, I'll be reporting him to the police.
Maybe Sakrata, we are Minister Chokoma. Maybe
he just came to shout and disrupt.
Collins.
You have I think we want to proceed.
Honorable Collins.
We're creating pressure on our future and then Kaki can say meanwhile, what you are saying, you are holding the letter. Read to the public.
Collins, also we are not talking good.
It's not a shouting contest. Yeah, but tell me if you have any issues. I told you. You are disrupting
Honorable Collins, also Honorable Collins, we are not talking gold. We are not talking diamond. Neither are we talking bauxite. We've been blessed with another natural resource.
Yes.
We cannot continue to do the same old things and believe that things will change. So, Osha, all the arguments that Ebenino, nobody is fighting anybody. What we are saying is that we are repeating certain mistakes. As on mine, if that is the case. What are lessons that we've learned from those mistakes, and how best can we improve on those things, especially if we are seeing any abedi sadi we achi lithium no ehun sunsuanso ne mfasode a edebre amaya nyame o madoma abepi ho. We can't just treat it as any other thing. It is this uncommon wadaroma. You pay attention to baby ni sinto ni wo on nkoma odinim.
Me we are now
is that simple? We are not appropriately am I say problem be any.
No problem. He doesn't understand the contract.
Okay.
That's
it. You know.
A contract you have not even read.
I have read the entire contract. If you don't know, I'm
how
telling
many pages
you.
is the contract?
You are asking me.
You've read the entire contract. You should know how many pages.
No, they don't.
Anyway,
contract now you pages no.
No, maybe I hold in my hand the contract. What's I haven't read it.
And I'm saying obi beti making can contract but only pages.
Which I don't understand. Not just my boy, mami kaya, I'm in Tiasia.
Koso.
Anyway, mami koso. Until like I was saying, who shares are 2 letters? One basic data, the same day I assign is our mining lease, and another is a different date. Oh, catch them say, oh, wait there, a normal administrative error. Administrative error. Because one of them was written as an afterthought. What has here? Having said so, my member Ghana's free carried interest agreement. Who share you can say clause 19B of the agreement. It tells you say, or it stipulates say, almost they've secured for Ghana carried interest of 13%. Now, USHA section 43, subsection 1 of the Minerals and Mining Act now, government is entitled to only 10%. It is only subsection 2 that says that government can, however, increase the stake, the equity stake, given that all other parties agree. Now, it doesn't say it is free. TNU. Subsection 2 of section 43 of the Minerals and Mining Act, say the additional acquisition is free. It only says that given that other parties, all parties agree upon the increase. Now, you claim that you've negotiated 13%. Fair enough. What is the guarantee that the next lease agreement, Nippon would agree to an increase of 3% free of charge? There's no guarantee. Until you might end up having different carried interest for different mining lease agreements. And you can't go forward with such an arrangement. How can you do that? Say, Bibi Strongwood is a lithium. You leave room for ambiguity and uncertainty. And the possibility that Ghana might be having different carried interest in different concessions. That's not how it works. Antina, say, if government's equity interest has to be 13% free of charge, amend the law. Amend the law and put it in the law. Say, when it comes to lithium, your free carried interest is strictly 13%. But as it stands now, Omrano says it's 10%. Until in future, you get another company that says, I'm not agreeing to the increase of 3%. No, you cannot force it on them because Omrano gives you only 10%. The others you have to negotiate and possibly even buy or pay for it. And if they say, look, you have free, you have to pay for it. Buy. What that would have meant is we are going back to the mistakes of gold. And today, government needed to hasten slowly, do the necessary consultations, and science me. I don't even know whether Ghana for Bejia to say 13% carried interest is what they want. They could even be negotiating, asking for even more. What is here? Until, for example, if Ghana for it through consultations, Eka say, no, look, given the potential of lithium, and I keep insisting and stressing on the point of potential. As I say, the demand for lithium, if you look at, there's a BBC report that says that, say, Amamai ebe achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement now. By 2030, the demand for lithium would have increased by over 40% the 2022 levels. That tells the demand for lithium is growing. Look, the electromobility industry relies solely on lithium batteries. And lithium soon are batteries. And the demand for it is going to keep going high and high. Until why would you settle for less? Young I see investment in the area. Esun. Until America investment may not be risky. What is here? And to the extent say what they did and they say and yes there are deposits of lithium data what they do mostly is to find out say this particular concession does it have a different economic value, which means this is in commercial quantities. That's all they do. I'm not disputing the fact that Sika Ewum is involved, but if you look at the potential for lithium in the future, If you look at the amount of investment on we anywhere the returns we cannot say because of our investment in we should shoot ourselves in the foot and we should settle for less. And I've made the point, say, if you read their feasibility report, they are projecting to be able to pay back SASIK in 10 months. The investment on we are in doing exploratory works, which tells you, say, even though there are risks, but the returns are even higher. Because for 14 years, and nobody can tell me that the demand for lithium is going to go down in the future, for which reason prices are going to... Exactly. Well, what you are saying? Until if you want a carried interest in this enterprise to be 13%, secure it in a law. You can't just say, let's rely on the negotiation skills of some minister. Until you're not negotiate 3% extra. What if the next entity ban almost you masa yenjintum? Oh, yeah, 3%, you have to pay for it. Until the resource near 13% crying to me. So that's the point we are making. Say you hasten to make these agreements, and you think that because we to go to by royalty rate has increased by some 5%. Why are the armor? You could look even in gold. You see that's the interesting thing. When we amended the law in 2015, look at Act 900. It says that the minister can prescribe royalty rate for minerals, and that would mean say if indeed he was minded, all mining leases on gold and other minerals, not green minerals, he shouldn't have left them at 5% because we amended the law to give you the chance to increase the percentage. Why? So you negotiate mediocre agreements, and when it comes to lithium, you merely add 5% and say, it is the best by far.
Okay, so wrap up.
We could still have 10% with gold. We could still have 10% royalty because a man more going to do that. But you have refused to do it. But lithium going away 10%. And my argument is say, we can deserve much more than that. But let's even grant say Ghana for United to say 13% AMI. This is not secured in any law. So it is arbitrary. And like I said, in future you can have different lease agreements with different royalty rates because Mbrano and Kanino, the 2010 amendment made it specific say royalty rate is 5%. All royalties before the 2015 amendment there were numbers. So 2006 when we drafted this law, it was a range between 3% and 6%. Numbers were all. When we did the amendment in 2010, which is Act 794, we changed it to 5% flat. Number were TNO or mine. When we did the amendment in 2015, it was left open. So it is for the minister to make regulations through an ally to indicate the percentage. And like I've said, lithium is shrunk. And man, lithium like oil. Mamifa last one and Chimna Yemi. The way forward. What was that? Mrang Crawford or drafted 1992 constitution? No money in the power. They could foresee a situation whereby a bedroom pempensubi. You have some of these agreements with weaknesses, like we are seeing. Agreements that are hastened for no reason. And to Amudi Shemran Muse in Article 2681 say any mineral writer, minister Nbema, and a mineral contract and a mining contract be a Obemano can only be factual subject to ratification by Parliament. What is here? Now that gives us an opening. With the Kotojogu Fem, Nsadan MPs. This is an opportunity for you to look into the future and tell Yenina say
you will not agree.
You will not agree. Because Nyamika Yenina, it is nobody saying that we shouldn't have a mining agreement on lithium. Obianka sayo. But let's have an agreement that is beneficial and sustainable for the people of Ghana.
All right, I think.
And I'm just making two suggestions. One, we can either amend the law to include Yenina so that any investor knows a royalty rate ASC, your carried interest free of charge, ASC. And now you can introduce like we did for oil. We have Petroleum Revenue Management Act. It is because now in oil, when we discovered oil, we said, look, we don't want it to be a case like it has become for other countries. We can have a green and a lithium and green minerals management act, for example. Look, Minyanka issue of processing. The policy is who mining raw lithium now, you can't export it. You have to process it before you transport it. What is the fiscal and regulatory regime for such processing?
You better talk conversations. Remember that's a take moment. Mass action for Anabedin Kumi. By Ekobank about to our aid quickly say in times of emergencies and difficulty, there's one number as I say dial now.